Hello, is anybody in the council chambers there?
Congratulated Craig on having it up on the computer screens, which is the earliest I've ever seen it in my life, and that probably is what did it.
I can hear you in the council chambers, but I can't see you.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but not
He
see
can
you.
hear us, but he
We are
can't.
making progress. There's not a lot to see.
Can you hear me okay, Mr.
We
Chairman?
can hear you now.
Yay.
It's on mine. Have I gone off? I just need to get closer probably. Rebecca Phillips, are you out there? Kate Dahl?
Thanks. Mr. Chair, I believe we resolved the issue. I forgot to push one button. So I think we are ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. Justin Price, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Sorry about the delay. We had some PA problems. And Tricia Murray. Okay, the next item of business is the approval of the minutes of March 2, 2026. Chair will ask for corrections, changes, comments, followed by a motion if appropriate. Yes, sir.
I have a question for the page 4. There's a vote.
Mr. Chairman, we can't hear Commissioner Leclerc speaking.
Are you on here too? You got me.
Oh,
It'll be green in two places.
okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Yes. So the vote on page 4 in the minutes, I thought that vote was 3-2.
To approve the minutes?
No, to approve action on the flashers issue. That one.
Oh, well, it's on page 5.
Page 5, and is that
On the temporary traffic controls?
Yeah, the vote was held after that paragraph. And I thought Commissioner Bansal voted no. Was that correct? Was I wrong? You voted yes? Okay,
Mr. Chair,
that was my question.
I actually believe it was myself and Commissioner Shoemaker. I don't want to put words in his mouth if he's not here though, so I don't.
That was my only question about the minutes.
If I'm remembering correctly, I believe myself and Commissioner Shoemaker voted no.
Anybody else have a memory?
Oh,
I'm not certain in that though.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lancaster?
the roll call says 8 people. And so, as I recall, it was 5-3 to make that add up to 8 people.
There was an abstention.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
He abstained. I think it's,
That's correct. I think it's correct now.
I do.
okay.
I believe it's correct.
Yeah.
Forwarded.
Correct is written?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have
Mr.
couple
Chairman,
of items since I wasn't here. On page 5 of today's
Mr.
packet.
Chair, sorry to interrupt. Commissioner Lewis would like to speak on the minute topic.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, you have
yes,
something on the minutes?
I do, just one item on page 6. The last bullet under the action on temporary traffic controls, kind of halfway through I guess it's the second bullet on the page 6. Let's see, it's not, keep going, right, okay. Back. It's the second paragraph on page 6.
Okay.
Okay, in the middle of that paragraph, it talks about the use of additional stop signs and whether they conflict with traffic control guidance, particularly with the use of stop signs for speed control. This was my item, and I would suggest we change the wording of this because traffic control guidance is not accurate. It's the use of stop signs for speed control is a traffic control prohibition. It is not allowed. And guidance is a little too soft for my liking.
So how would you like for it to read?
Whether the use of additional stop signs for speed, well, let's see. So could conflict with traffic control prohibitions of using stop signs for speed control. That would work for me.
Change guidance to prohibition?
What was that, Mr. Chairman?
Change guidance to prohibition?
Yes. So could conflict with traffic control prohibitions of the use of stop signs for speed control.
Of the use of.
Anyone have a problem with that?
Sounds more confusing.
Hearing none, we'll make that change.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. The one that I've got is on page 5, the second full bullet. It starts with Commissioner Lancaster acknowledged that the transportation study referenced during discussion was conducted more than 20 years ago. Mr. Lancaster, I believe you were referring to during discussion at the previous meeting. Or were you talking about discussion during the meeting in March? I know you said this, you said the same thing in the previous meeting. Did you say it in the March meeting as well?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any issue with how that paragraph's written.
Yeah.
Okay, you were the one that said it. We'll leave it like it is.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the paragraph directly above that, the item regarding what I noted, I was noting that students are focused on their phones while walking, not driving.
Help me find where you are. See,
Noting
Miranda-
that students
Miranda
are
Carson
often
provided.
not focused on pedestrians. I was speaking about pedestrians, student pedestrians, not student drivers.
Okay, so you're suggesting the word student be added in front of pedestrians?
It was additional information regarding student pedestrian behavior, noting that students are often focused on their mobile devices while walking would be an adequate revision.
Okay. Tell me exactly how you want it to read and let me get it called here.
Okay. regarding student pedestrian behaviors, noting that students are often not focused and distracted by mobile devices while walking.
Anyone have a problem with that?
No.
Staff picked that up, okay? Staff has it? Okay, thank you, ma'am. I have a question also in the minutes on page 7. The last 4 bullets in number 6. What did y'all do? Talk so long that they just left, or was there really truly no representatives present to provide updates at that point?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
So is
members
it-
of the commission. Yeah,
that is correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Okay, that was my question. You can take out my editorial comment. Any other changes? We have a motion and a second. Do the motioner and seconder agree with the aforementioned changes?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Previous minutes are approved. Next item, old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
did we adopt this agenda? I think we.
I don't think we did. And I think you caught me on that 2 months ago, if I remember correctly.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. It's hard for me to see. I jumped down to the next one, apparently. Okay, let's back up to adoption of agenda. And Chair will entertain a motion in a second, unless there's some changes. Staff have any changes? Staff has none. Commissioners have any?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I
Lancaster.
do. So, I would like to continue the conversation about what we've put under a heading temporary traffic controls before. I would like to continue that in old business until, resolved.
Okay, which is not on our agenda, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
You'd like to add it to today.
We can, yes.
My question to staff is, can we? Can we at this point add a totally new item to the agenda?
Yeah, I don't know if.
Has Ms. Murray joined us?
No.
Okay, we don't have legal.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think
I'm
you can
here.
add,
Oh,
They hadn't elevated me to a panelist yet, sorry. No, we would need to notice it for the next agenda.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. Let's re-add it for next time. I
Okay.
don't think this one's gone away yet.
okay. Staff, got that? Okay. Done. Any other comments on the adoption of today's agenda? Hearing none, motion and a second?
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Smith,
Second.
second from Mr. Leclerc. Any other discussion? The agenda is adopted as presented, and we will add the other item to next month.
Mr. Chair, do we need to vote on that?
I think you're right. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? We're gonna get through this yet. Might have practice.
Mr. Chairman, we're not going to give you a month off anymore. You come back rusty.
Good point. Okay, moving ahead, old business number 2, staff transportation project tracking. I believe we have a cast of thousands here. Welcome, Mr. Reinhardt. Hadn't seen you in a while, sir. Staff, how would you like to handle this? Would you like for us to start in on it? I understand they would like to have some input and comments. How would you suggest we do this?
So, Mr. Chair, currently we're on the transportation tracking worksheet.
Okay, so you're here about the flashers?
Hear about item.
Okay,
agenda
let's
3.
go ahead and we will do the staff transportation project tracking. Who's going to carry that one?
That will be me. Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair.
please.
So I don't have any major updates. We have updated the transportation tracking sheet. Couple of small updates for some of the projects, but nothing major has come through at this time.
Okay, staff doesn't have anything. Anybody else? I have a question on page 10 for whoever with the staff is the one to talk about it. The 3rd Street, Franklin to Carlton Broadway. There's a reference down in the 4-1 status review that the 2.5 street design will happen once ACHD has a better idea of when Coal Valley will be vacated. I don't doubt that, but that is not 3rd Street, Franklin to Carlton.
Mr. Chair, that is going to be Caleb, who's going to give an update on that. I believe it's all kind of adjacent, so.
Mr. Chair, last year, you're testing my memory here now. I had some initial conversations before Heather and Caleb sort of took it over. ACHD was looking at understanding what would happen for Carlton from Franklin all the way up to Cherry. They had it sort of broken up into 2 different sort of projects with different scopes. One is the capital project that will be the full widening from Franklin to approximately Carlton. It could also be Broadway. They haven't decided yet. The portion north of Broadway sort of turned into a different scope that they ended up not pursuing, and it's sort of on hold. What it's referring to right now, they were going to be looking at a sidewalk inventory and connecting some gaps for that northern section on 2.5 Street, but they didn't want to do a bunch of work if the analysis was going to change dramatically based off of Coal Valley being there or not. And they didn't, and there's been some discussion for that long also as to where 3rd Street would actually, or the equivalent of 3rd Street coming from the south would actually punch out into Fairview Avenue. So the portion that they're not doing right now was sidewalk gaps and associated studies, waiting until something happens with Coal Valley. Does that answer the question?
It's, yeah, my question was more of the heading being a particular length of 3rd Street.
It is
And then a
3rd Street.
reference down below for something outside of the topic.
It is, the corridor is a topic. They were sort of looking at a related project and it's all wrapped into the same thing. So we have, this is the portion that was sort of moving forward, and it's that they're trying to understand connectivity. They also sort of had it named a little bit, as you noticed, wrong, because they weren't sure what they were going to be doing with it. But the intention is to basically get from Carlton to Fairview. The portion there is a component of that, and we just haven't got any more details or figured out what exactly that will be.
Okay. And then I've got another one on page 11, if you would, please. Black Cat in Macmillan. Under the last status review for April 1, status tracking, it says ultimate roundabout scrapped for the time being, period. And then the last sentence in that bullet says developer co-op project to build dual lane roundabout in 2028, approved by ACHD in July of 25. Those are in conflict. And if the answer is the first scrapping happened 4 years ago and the last one happened more recently, then I guess that explains why it reads funny.
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so those three bullets, you kind of want to read from the most important update. I mean, really, I don't want to say update, but the most recent update is the third one, right? 4/1/2026, no update, see above. And if you go to the bullet then above that, intersection is tracking with U-Stick Black Cat to 10-mile project. The other information has been in your packet for months, going back to whenever that project description, the status tracking paragraph has been there. That hasn't changed in months. And that one's going to read chronologically as well. So it'll start with the
Okay.
beginning. And then, so again, I mean, put the dates in there so you know the most recent. Again, not a big update here. Look at the roadway project because this is tracking with it. But that developer co-op is part of the overall widening plus the intersection now. It's just instead of being repetitive, it's all grouped into one bigger project, if that helps.
It does. It was the scrapping that got me. Because
Yeah.
I apologize for having missed the last meeting and having read this one pretty closely. Because I want to see what y'all did to us. And I caught the scrapped and then I saw the yes, but it's on. And I'd never caught the scrapped before, I guess, and I knew it was out there. So.
Mr. Chairman.
particularly Since it's 2.5 blocks from my house, I kind of pay attention to it.
Mr. Chairman, for whatever it's worth, that project's been scrapped, brought back more times than anything but Amity and Locust Grove. So it's had many different incarnations.
On page 15, on the Linda Road, Overland to Franklin, including the overpass. The last bullet from April 1/26. Phase 2 of the project is currently out to bid, closes on April 15. Does that include the bridge? Is the bridge out to bid?
Yes, sir. Sorry, that was so loud. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yeah, it'd be the rest of the project. So the overland side of the freeway, this will be picking up then basically at the ramps to go
Right.
over the interstate. So it includes the ITD portion of the bridge and then all the way to Franklin. So this is a majority of the project, if you will. Phase 2 is a pretty hefty lift.
So the bridge is part of the bid to finish the south side and to build the north side.
Essentially, the south side is mostly done now. It is
They
substantially
gotta
complete. So
put
phase
the-
one.
They got to put the ramp in.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. And I believe, just a minute, a lot of pages to this. And the last one, I have a comment, but not a question. The last one is on page 24 regarding the first item, I-84 eastbound auxiliary lane. I cannot miss another opportunity to say they ought to extend that all the way back to 10 Mile. Thank you very much. Anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay. That's an information item, no action. Next item is the school flashers doing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I actually do have one minor thing on these.
Good. What page?
So pages, page 25. Just for city records, Highway 2026 is a US highway, not a state highway. Thank you. That was all, Mr.
Good
Chairman.
catch. Does that come to us from? Y'all don't write this. Who does this come from?
Mr. Chair, that's an old project that has been done for a while. Somehow the filtering got a little off here. It shouldn't be on the list at all anymore. So, well, to that comment, yes, those other ones should probably change, but the one that was just referenced is done. So we're not going to change that one now, but the other ones that are active still will be changed to
Okay,
US, I guess.
thank you. Anyone, anything else? All right. Okay, looking to staff again. Item 3 is use of school flashes during lunch periods. We have people here from the school district that would like to speak to it, I understand. How would staff like to proceed? Does staff wish to set this up? You wish to let them speak? What's the best thing we can do here?
So, Mr. Chair, this agenda item we spoke about in depth at the last Transportation Commission. And we were acting under commission's direction at this point to keep it on as old business to see if any other new information has come up. We have some members from the West Ada School District that are here to speak on the topic, and I think it's best we follow your direction. If you'd like to have them speak first, we can do that.
I think that would probably be appropriate if it's okay with the school district. Come on up. Welcome again.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, it's good to be back in your presence. My name is David Reinhardt. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for West Ada School District, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Ty Schmidt, our Assistant Principal at Rocky, would also respectfully request to speak. I did initiate the request to reach out to ACHD on the school zone flashers for lunch period at our high schools. If I misstepped, if I was supposed to come to you first, I do apologize. I was not aware of those procedures, but we acted in the best interest of our students, and we appreciate ACHD's ability to help us in that situation. Nationally, more than 15,000 children age 19 and under are struck and injured by vehicles every year while walking. That's an average of about 2 children per hour. Tragically, hundreds of those students are fatal, and over a 10-year period, nearly 5,000 students have lost their lives as pedestrians. Several of these, it's worth noting, have sadly been within our school district and the city of Merdian. According to the National Safety Council, more than 25,000 children are injured every year in school zone-related accidents across the United States, many of them within blocks of their own school. These are not just statistics. They represent shattered routines, families, lives forever altered because a driver failed to pay attention. Here in the city of Merdian, 4 of our high schools, our comprehensive high schools, exists. Merdian High School, Rocky Mountain High School, Owyhee High School, and Mountain View High School. Renaissance as well, Idaho School of the Fine Arts, and 3 academies. On any given school day, approximately 4,500 students are walking or driving during open lunch periods. Those who drive are often, always inexperienced. They've all been driving 1 or 2 years. They are rushed. They are navigating distractions, passengers, cell phones, and the general pressures of the school day. Those who walk are navigating crowded sidewalks, crossing busy streets, and are often distracted and in a hurry. This creates a very real and predictable safety risk on these midday periods. Flashing school zone lights do not solve every safety concern. Safety is built in layers. These lights provide a clear, visible signal to drivers that students are present and extra caution is required. Do all high schools across the country implement this level of precaution? No. But West Ada and the city of Merdian have never aimed to meet the minimum standards, but instead we aim to exceed standards when it comes to protecting students. This practice comes at little or no additional cost to taxpayers, yet adds an important layer of awareness and protection for our thousands of students each and every day. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the Commission to make no recommendation to City Council for the change of this practice. If you do so recommend, we will be prepared to bring students, teachers, and parents who are certainly grateful for ACHD for allowing this added safety to remain in place. I do thank you for your time and commitment to the safety of our community.
Mr. Reinhardt, if I
I
may
stand
ask
for any
you,
questions.
ask you one question, not so much about the topic, but something that you just said. You call them comprehensive high schools. What does comprehensive mean?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, my apologies. I'm using internal language. Comprehensive to us means we have 6 high schools we designate as comprehensive. There are high schools that are approximately 2,000 students in size and offer a comprehensive array of classes.
Okay.
Whereas our academies or Renaissance have a more focused academic rigor. And
You don't need to apologize. It's just a term I wasn't familiar with.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Uh,
Mr. Reinhardt,
yes, sir. Go ahead.
excuse me,
You have the floor.
I missed your comment. You said something about we will bring students and teachers. What, I missed that full comment, sir. Could you repeat that?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if this were to go to City Council, we would certainly be present at that City Council meeting to share how grateful we are that those lights are blinking, because we do believe that it's an extra layer, and every extra layer we can provide is important.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reinhardt, so you have been doing this, how long have the lights been flashing? 2 months?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the lights have been I don't have the date in front of me, but it strikes me that it was October or November that we began this practice.
And has comments, people say, people approached you, I mean, have you got feedback from the community on they like it, don't like it, works, don't work? And it seems to me that if people aren't knowing they're in a school zone anyway, I'm not sure flashing lights make that any more comprehensive, especially at lunchtime. I mean, it's from what I've gathered, the number one violators of that are the students that are driving out of those schools at lunchtime. And are they paying attention to the yellow lights flashing?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Hopkins, I'll let Assistant Principal Schmidt speak to the firsthand experience at Rocky. I would say that the statistics that I quote in terms of pedestrian safety are not necessarily student caused. They're often, and I can think of the Merdian accidents that we face were oftentimes caused by drivers passing by or not paying attention. And so I do not receive phone calls one way or another on a practice, but I do know as a driver, I pay attention when I see lights.
Mm-hmm.
I pay attention to flashing lights in school zones. One, it's the law. 2, it's good practice, because if you drive by any of those schools, they're in herds, and so if it causes me to react, I trust it's causing others to react.
Well, believe me, we all drive by plenty of schools on major arterials.
Any other questions for Mr. Reinhardt while he's at the podium?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith.
Yes, I'm curious about the involvement of ACHD. I mean, I just would love to hear more about the process. So you reach out to them. What did that interaction look like? What did that engagement look like? Do you coordinate with any engineers on staff or things like that?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Smith, I initiated it at the school district level. I did not talk to ACHD directly. A member of our staff did.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
that was me. I was the member of the staff. So I can speak to our involvement with ACHD.
Okay. Oh, I'll come back. Mr. Lancaster, did you have a question for Mr. Reinhardt?
I do. I can hold it for a moment if you want to finish this one with Ms. Carson, or I can ask now.
Why don't you ask now? I'm trying to give him an opportunity to have a seat, but we'll keep him up here as long as he's willing and you're needed to ask him something.
Fair enough.
And we will come back to you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Reinhardt, it's nice to see you again. So, yeah, welcome back. I've asked cities or school district staff that's in the room this question, but I'll ask it of you too, since you say you initiated the request. I guess the biggest question is, what's the problem that you're trying to solve? And how does this solve the problem that you've identified?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Lancaster, we are being proactive to alert driver. We're not trying to wait for a problem to happen. This was initiated, and again, I'll let Assistant Principal Schmidt speak to the particulars of the situation itself. But this was initiated after a motorcycle accident in front of Rocky Mountain High School. A student was the one who had the idea and made the request and was forwarded to Dr. Bubb, which then came to me. For us, it's a common sense layer of safety that we can enact so that there are no problems. Fewer problems.
Does that do you for the moment?
For the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Carson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as Dr. Reinhardt said, he did pass the request to me and ask if I could reach out to ACHD and see what that process would be to have those lights on at lunch, if that was a request that we could make. We do work with ACHD annually. As our bell times change, we update those things. If new schools are put in, we give them bell times. So we are in constant communication with ACHD regarding the timing of school zone flashers at campuses. This request was no different. I reached out to ACHD Traffic Engineering and spoke to one of the engineers. I submitted the request via email and they called me for follow-up. We talked about what times those lights would need to be on. Initially, the request that came was for the lights to be on for all of lunchtime. Can the lights be on during lunch? So we looked at what time students are actually leaving and coming onto campus. I reached out to two different high schools. Rocky Mountain Principal was one. I believe the other was Oahe. I didn't document which high school I called, but I reached out to two different high schools and asked in practice, what time are students actually leaving campus? What time are they actually getting back to campus? Because we know that just because lunch ends at 12 doesn't mean the kids are coming back at 12. So what time are they leaving? What time are they coming? I asked them, do you have kids leaving in the middle of lunch, or is it really just that big influx at the beginning and end? And they said it was a big influx at the beginning of lunch period and a big influx at the end. There's not a lot of traffic in the middle of that lunch period. So in talking with the engineers, I asked them, would we have a higher rate of efficacy if we didn't have the flashers on the entire lunch window? Could we just have them at the beginning of the lunch window and the end of the lunch window? And they liked that suggestion. It was the ACHD I was working with said he understood that suggestion. He understood the times that we had at the different campuses. I gave him a list of the campuses. He took those times back to his group of engineers and had a conversation with them. I was not a part of that conversation. But then he came back to me and said he had spoken with several engineers at ACHD. They were in support of the idea and the times that we had discussed, and they would get those lights turned on.
And the end result was that, well, let me ask this first. This is only done at the high schools. That's a question.
Correct. At the high school is the only campuses in West Ada that allow students to go off campus for lunch.
Okay. And the lunch times are not all the same at all high schools. Is that correct?
Lunch times generally are the same at all high schools.
12 to 1?
It's not 12 to 1. I don't know the times off the top of my head. I was just using that as an example. Yeah.
In the end, are they set from the beginning of lunch period to the end?
There's
From a little before the beginning to a little after the end? or only at the beginning and the end and not in the middle? How are they actually working, please?
They are set at the beginning and the end and not in the middle. So because we didn't want those lights to just stay on, because
Okay.
we know that, you know, when cars see them constantly, they start to ignore them. They turn on at the beginning of the lunch window, and then they turn on again, they turn off, and then they turn on again at the end of the lunch window.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
As a follow-up, so with that kind of setup in the beginning of the end and the end, have any engineers from ACHG communicated a concern about compliance, about kind of fatigue of seeing the lights and starting to ignore them?
No, nobody, when I took it to the traffic engineer that I took it to, is one of the traffic engineering supervisors. He didn't have concerns about the times that we were requesting. He took it back to a group of engineers. None of them expressed concern. Based on my conversation with him, he didn't say that any of them expressed concern with either having the lights on or having them on the times that we'd asked for them.
Perfect, thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Carson? Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions for Mr. Reinhardt? Yes, sir.
Mr. Reinhardt, thanks again for coming today. So was there a point in time, maybe some years ago, where the West Ada School Board said, this is something we want you to watch, we want this monitored, or was this just such a common practice you didn't? They never formally said, go forward and work on traffic flow at high schools, or did they? I don't know what the history is.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Blair, the school board generally operates at a policy level, and this has been an operational decision, and they have not asked us at any point that I'm aware of, perhaps in the past, but nothing that I'm aware of in my 4 years.
Okay,
But they generally do not operate at those particular school board meetings. Budget.
okay, thank you for that clarification.
Any other commissioner questions for Mr. Reinhardt? Thank you, sir. Principal Schmidt, would you like to come up, sir? Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for letting me be here today. Talk a little bit. My name is Ty Schmidt. I'm one of the assistant principals at Rocky Mountain High School. I've been there for the last couple of years, and I actually am one of the admin that deals with the parking lot and everything dealing with the vehicles and all that stuff throughout the school. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background, just Rocky Mountain in general, not talking about the other 5 main schools, because the principals back and talking knows is we currently have a little over 1,800 students at Rocky Mountain at lunch times, which those lunch times, I know we kind of talked about that. They start lunchtime at 10:37 and they finish lunchtime at 11:37 are those times that happens. We have over half of our students that are either walking off campus to any of the local establishments or driving out of campus at that time, which is around, over almost 1,000 students that are leaving. That's another vehicle, somebody else's vehicle. And so as Mr. Reinhardt talked about, or Dr. Reinhardt talked about, is that they are going grows and leaving. Unfortunately, we had an event that happened in December in which a motorcyclist was going through the school zone. There was no flashing lights at the time, and unfortunately pulled out from the other vehicle, switched lanes that the other car couldn't see quite, and ran into a car that was exiting out from our parking lot.
Well, if you don't mind, explain that again and a little slower, exactly.
No problem.
The mechanic, just a little bit on the mechanics of it.
From what I've understood from our SRO who gave us kind of the details is there's the 2 lanes on the closest to the sidewalk lane. The person who was pulling out saw that there was a car farther back. Motorcycle was in that lane, switched lanes quickly, came up as they were pulling out and ran into that car, unfortunately ending in the fatality of the motorcycle driver. And unfortunately also we had a lot of, it was right at the very beginning of our lunch period, where we had a lot of the students walking out and multiple of our students
Saw the accident. Was the motorcyclist a student?
No, it was not.
Was the driver coming out a student?
It was not.
Okay, thank you.
neither one of them were students that were involved in this.
But students were present and saw it.
Students were present and saw.
Okay.
And reacted to that there was also, there were student drivers that, were coming from their CTE class, pulling in and saw it as it all happened in front of them too. Since the lights have been on, well, after that happened, we had a couple of our students that reached out to our principal, our, superintendent, the mayor, and a couple other names that were on the email that just talked about a concern about why the lights aren't on to be able to help slow traffic down during those lunch times. And that's where kind of the process, everything that Dr. Reinhardt talked about began. During that time now, the lights have been on. I've been outside for different meetings or anything else and coming back, and I've seen that drivers slow down when those lights are going. Normally school lights are on from the beginning and the end, especially elementary, middle school, and high school. High schools are a little bit of a different beast dealing with those inexperienced drivers. And understandably, yes, they're coming out and not always doing everything they're supposed to do. We also have drivers that are just passing by. On my way here, just coming after school, I passed 2 high schools and a middle school on my way, just coming down Linda Road with Merdian and Sawtooth and Rocky Mountain. And I did see the traffic slow down. So the extra safety precaution of having the lights has been very helpful. And just to slow that down to, it's not going to solve every problem, but it will help. So I would love to push to continue to have those lights on during those lunchtime that Ms. Carlson kind of talked about at the beginning. Thank you.
If you'd wait just a moment, questions for the principal.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Smith.
have you heard any complaints about the flashes at all?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Smith, I have not personally heard anything.
Have you heard any comments on the other side?
I have heard some from the students a little bit and everything else, and myself personally, like that parking lot has only a couple exits. We go out Caillou Street, or we go out here, and there's a couple ones there. It is easier when it's slowed down to be able to turn to the right out Linder. When it is at the 20 miles per hour, when the school lights are going, than it is the 40 miles per hour, because it's just moving so much faster. But I've had the students say that it feels a little bit more comfortable as people that have talked to me since the lights have been on walking down.
Other questions for Principal Smith?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lancaster.
to be consistent, I'm going to ask my same question that I've asked everybody. So hopefully you've had time to prepare here. So, what's the problem that we're trying to solve and how does this solve that identified problem?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Lancaster. Well, the problem we're trying to solve is we want to be able to keep the areas safe around the school zones, and we need to have that slow down. It also helps where there is a crosswalk across that those blinking flashlights, it's already slowed down and make it easier for those to stop and be near if they're driving by our students, and also be able to have those students be able to pull out in a safe manner without too high of speeds. I believe that's probably with the lights. I believe that this will help slow it down. It won't stop everything that's going on, but it is just another barrier.
So a follow-up, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
So in your mind then, so you've thrown out a few things there. So in your mind, what's the purpose of a reduced speed school limits, reduced speed school speed limit?
The reduced school speed limit would be to be able to have the area in front of the school to be able to be slower, so that way traffic can flow a little bit more freely and safe.
So, okay, so it's for pedestrians and for drivers in your mind. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for the principal?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lewis, please, welcome.
Hi, I don't have a question. It's just that the people online can't hear the microphone from the podium. We can hear everybody else's microphones, but not the microphone from the podium.
Okay, it's picking up for us here in the room because I can tell when they're on it and not. We will work on it a little bit and try to get on it a little bit better, but not going to suggest we go back and repeat.
Oh, no. I turned on the closed caption. And I can see most of what was spoken. Thank you.
Thank you for telling me we had closed caption. I didn't know that. Okay, thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Anything else from the school district? Sergeant Carter, I'm not asking you to speak. I am, though, asking, would you like to have any input, sir?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Yeah, thank you. Just a point of reference on the young man that had lost his life in the crash. He was going 2 times over the posted speed limit at the time of the crash. Now, on a separate part, as far as the speed reduction in front of the schools, I am a fan of that. As the VP said, when the vehicles are pulling out on the Linder from Rocky is by far the most congested school that we have, feeding on the Linder. When the traffic lights are on, the speed reduction lights, it helps the students pull out. So that is a major concern as a police officer for me. And then also with the pedestrians that go to and from the lunch areas as well and cross. So that, my opinion, for that momentary lapse or that reduction in speed of a driver that's going through that area, that makes it safer for the students driving, the students walking, and any other person operating a vehicle, I would be all in favor of it.
To ask you the same question that was asked of the other 2 speakers, have you heard any pro or con comments from the public or your officers?
So at that time in December 12th is when that initial incident occurred. I was still working in the schools. I've since gone to traffic, obviously. I have had no interactions with any other SRO sergeants that have relayed any concerns or pro or against as far as that. And as far as the traffic related, I have not had either way as well.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen, commissioners, this is an action item by definition on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
We'll start with other comments first and then move from there. Yes, sir. Mr. Leclerc.
I had a question for Officer Carter as well. Is this, if so these school flasher lights are on and off at different times of the day. Does MPD make an effort to monitor those when they're aware of them, or is it just sort of a routine traffic pattern of patrolling?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, yeah, good question. What I do is when I get complaints or no complaints, but I know there's problem areas such as around the high schools, middle schools, the elementary schools, we will always have our motors go up and work those particular areas as much as possible. If we are getting complaints, then we certainly would focus a little bit more on it. But as the last month or 2, we just have them sporadically move around the city to areas of concern.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for the sergeant?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Mr. Lancaster.
So I guess I have questions about the enforceability of it and the efforts made to enforce. So, I guess those are the questions. What effort has been put into enforcing these at the 4 high schools in question? Have there been tickets written? Is it easily enforced, not very easily enforced? I'm curious. I have a brother that's a police officer as well, but he's not here. So you are.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, great question. We have 4 motor officers to work the entire city. Motor officers can blend into the environment, which makes them a little bit harder to see for the motorist that's driving through that area, which would be the reason for the stop, the speed that we're talking about. As I said, during the morning, the afternoon, now that they have these on, and the let-out times, we try to get up there and work those areas as much as possible. But your question on, are we having more officers work those areas? with crashes and everything else going on in the city, we're pretty busy. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, I guess to reinforce part of the question. So are there being, tickets written are there violations during this lunchtime period, or is that not really showing up?
Commissioners, Mr. Chair, yes, tickets are being written during the lunchtime.
Mr. Hood, did I see your hand, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a clarification, based on last month's meeting, we added this to old business as an action item because there was some talk about sending a letter or correspondence to the council. And at that point in time, it wasn't noticed as an action item. So you certainly can head down that road if you want. No action is also an action. This just allows the potential to make some vote that has an action behind it. So don't feel pressured, I guess, to take a true action. Again, no action could be an action.
You stole my line. I'm sitting up here waiting to use it. Okay, no more questions, commissioners? That's an open-ended question. What are your desires? Mr. Lancaster.
Mr. Chairman, we've talked about this for several months now. As Dr. Reinhardt mentioned it in the introduction to his comments, so we weren't asked to comment on this until it was imminent, right? Just about to happen and now has happened. I appreciate the time that school district staff has spent with us. I appreciate the time that ACHD spent with us. However, I do think that it's appropriate for us to comment on this. We weren't asked to comment before it happened. We're at a bit of a disadvantage this way. But I think it's important that we comment and that we comment independently as this body, as the City Transportation Commission. It's been mentioned here today that there's little or no cost to users or cost to taxpayers. I would beg to differ. So there's a thing called user costs. So if it takes longer to get from one place to another, there's a cost associated with that, right? Time is money. That's the principle. So by changing mobility, there's certainly a cost associated with that. Whether it shows up in dollars paid by a government agency, that's one thing, but there's that there may not be much of a cost there, but there's certainly a cost associated with this. I still struggle with what's the problem that we're trying to resolve. There's been lots of things thrown out that are hyperbole or conjecture that I haven't heard direct correlation between the action and a problem that it's trying to solve. As many of you know, so I'm an engineer by trade, and so I like to have data-driven decisions, and I don't see that here. I see an emotional decision being made. It's tragic to hear about the incident that happened in front of Rocky Mountain High School. That's the school boundaries where I live. That's where my kids will go, right? I thought you asked very good questions following up on the reporting of that incident, Mr. Chairman, as far as were students involved. And it's certainly tragic that students, tragic what happened and tragic that students saw what happened. But that could have happened anywhere. It's not a specific school related, incident. And so to make a school related action and to use that as justification seems inappropriate, right? I've stated here, and I'll state again, that school zones are for pedestrians, for those school student pedestrians. It's not for drivers. Specifically, it's for younger students. So the younger pedestrians, the younger students on bikes or scooters or whatnot, that are both, small in size, more difficult to see behind, other vehicles or trees or whatnot. And without the, knowledge or skills to necessarily make traffic related decisions. So, darting out in traffic, chasing the lost soccer ball, that sort of thing. That's what school zones are intended for. Okay. Not for, larger students, the high school students, not for students that drive. The purpose of a school zone is not to affect driver behavior or not to open gaps in traffic, not to encourage, better driving, by young drivers or inexperienced drivers. That's not the purpose. Again, the purpose is for small, and by that I mean elementary school, middle school, pedestrian students. That's the purpose of a school zone. Okay. So we heard from ACHD last month. I've over the years asked for ACHD's school zone setting policy, and they don't have one. They seem to do whatever feels good at the moment. So they don't have times that they implement, and they don't have times that they don't implement. They just take every case on case-by-case basis. ACHD is quite a bit more liberal in the application of reduced speed limit school zones than is recommended in the traffic engineering industry. For example, it's generally accepted that, or the general guidance is that you don't use reduced speed limit school zones at high schools at all, let alone 3 or 4 times a day. It's recommended that if there is a protected crossing, like at a signal or a pedestrian hybrid beacon, that there is no reduced speed limit school zone. ACHD does that frequently, right? So just because ACHD does it, or they said it was okay, that doesn't necessarily mean it's okay. All right, so I don't put a lot of weight into that ACHD said it was okay. We even heard from them last month that they're, erring on the side of safety, whatever that means, right? Again, what's the problem that you're trying to solve? So I still think that we should take action and comment on this, make a recommendation to our elected officials to whom we, are responsible to answer to. I don't think it was necessarily meant this way from Dr. Reinhardt, but it almost came across as a threat that if we make a recommendation that's different than what the school recommends, that they'll bring, all of their friends and neighbors and whomever. Again, I don't think it was intended that way, but it could come across that way. And I think we need to make our recommendation independent of whomever may come. So public meetings are open to the public. So that's just the way they are. So, Mr. Chair, it's my recommendation that this body, this commission, make a recommendation to the city council specifically to discontinue this practice of lunchtime school zones, reduced speed limit school zones. To me, it seems appropriate to do this as a resolution, but I guess I'm open to format.
Is that a motion?
It can be if it needs to be, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have a comment?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, so I'm not known to be the
Taking
most.
that as no motion. Mr. Smith?
I'm not known to be the most laconic, so, but I'll try to keep it relatively brief. I agree, data-driven decision-making is important. I do think Dr. Reinhardt laid out a pretty clear problem nationally of student deaths, student pedestrian deaths. And I guess I just want to tie in a little bit more clearly here is, to me, the idea of no problem to solve, I think we're a bit misplaced. First, I kind of put on, when we started talking about this, I put back on my legislative analysis hat that I used to wear. And I kind of went looking through some of the standards. The manual of unified uniform traffic control devices, it doesn't require a history of incidents to mitigate traffic. It actually allows for proactive traffic or proactive risk mitigation depending on engineering judgment, which it sounds like engineers perform some analysis. To be candid, I would have liked to see that analysis, and in the future, if I could wave a magic wand, we'll be part of that analysis maybe proactively. But it seems like, I don't know ACHD to have ever done anything quickly and blithely. So I don't doubt that there was some analysis that went into this from an engineering standpoint. Secondly, the MUTCD pretty clearly says that traffic control is mentioned. I just looked this up 28 times in part 7. There's a section named traffic control for school areas. So traffic control seems to be a significant portion of at least some of the discussion around the MUTCD. And it's identified as, quote, relating to, quote, schools serving elementary through high school students. So I agree, like there is more of a focus, a lot from what I've read, from what I've seen on elementary school students, but nothing precludes the use in high school zones. I think also, given this kind of uptick we've seen a lot nationwide in pedestrian deaths and in our own community around pedestrian or pedestrian involved or traffic, incidents. I think it's important, flashers are noted to reduce the 85th percentile speed. And I think studies that I've seen have shown that a reduction from 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour bring the fatality chance from 50% to 10%. So there's a pretty significant problem. And I think the flashers, the data have shown that they do play a role in helping to mitigate that. And I do think that there is a place for the school district to do so. Again, if we're talking about process, I would have loved to have been involved earlier in the conversation, but I don't think that's anything to avoid or to justify undoing this. I think there's also, and I don't want to put any words in Commissioner Lancaster's mouth, so I apologize if I do, and nothing is intended here, but feel free to correct me. But I think there's also a philosophical kind of tension here too, of my perception is that there's a concern over this kind of maybe paternalism or some kind of like nanny state-ish behavior, if you will. I think in the last commission meeting, the idea of individual responsibility was brought up. And I think that there's something here that I find in this tension of, we're talking a lot about kind of the, decision-making of a high school or the responsibility of a high schooler. I think those are all valuable things to talk about, but I don't think a situation where there are irreversible consequences, such as the risk of death or bodily harm, I don't think that's an appropriate field to have those kind of teaching moments, right? And I don't think that's necessarily intended from Commissioner Lancaster's perspective, but I do think it's worth calling out that you have, when you talk about risk mitigation and harm reduction, you have, recoverable mistakes and teaching moments and irreversible consequences. And I think the former is a great opportunity for teaching. I don't think the latter is. And I think we as a society have agreed as much. It's why seatbelts are required. It's why we have guardrails on windy mountain roads. It's why MPD restricts the use of e-bikes and scooters, especially among teen riders. I think there are some pretty clear things, or even our road design has some affordance baked in for mistakes. So I think it's valid to be concerned about kind of the tone that it sets, the kind of messaging that it sets, to have kind of additional safety measures. And you can't engineer away every consequence and externalize all the costs and user costs and things like that. But I think there's a balance we can strike as a commission, as a city, as a society of saying, hey, there needs to be individual responsibility and you need to have that cultivated. But while you're at a maybe irresponsible age, or even each and every one of us make mistakes from time to time, your mistakes shouldn't run the risk of costing you or another person your life. So I don't mean that to sound as an emotional argument. I believe there's a kind of philosophical kind of tension here between this idea of the user cost and the impacts on society to go a little bit slower. I think if you measured that out on a user level, it might be a couple cents of an individual cost of getting to your destination a few seconds late. But I think the risk reward kind of calculus, given the fatality rates, given the speed impacts, and given what the MUTCD says, from my understanding as a layman, I would have a hard time supporting any recommendation to city council to undo this. Would have loved to have been involved earlier in the process, and it seems like that was a gap in understanding or a gap in knowledge, and I won't ascribe any any malice to that. Going forward, I would love to be involved in these conversations ahead of time, but I don't think a process mistake or some lack of us including us early enough is enough, and I certainly don't think that the data on pedestrian incidents, et cetera, is enough to ask city council to undo this. So I wouldn't be in favor. I would be in favor of either recommending no action be taken or taking no action at all, as Caleb says, is acceptable.
Mr. Chair.
You have anything? Okay, I saw her. I thought you reached for your mic a moment ago. If you didn't, that's okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Butler.
so I'm still not clear in my mind what we are being asked to do to recommend to the city. I'll cut to the point. The paint's already dry on the decision. Why is it our job to second guess what the school district asked to be done? We don't have jurisdiction to sit over and review. The school board to second guess what they've done. So from a legal perspective, I'm going, what are we asking the city to do when the decision has been made? And I have to question, I mean, I understand the safety argument. I applaud that. Okay. What are we sticking our nose in? I don't see that we have a dog in the race.
Ms. Carson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify the accident justification train of thought. When this request came to me, and I don't know, I didn't realize the request had also gone to the mayor at the same time. So I don't know exactly what that email looked like. I wasn't on the same email chain, but when the request came to me, there wasn't a mention of the accident in front of Rocky Mountain as part of that request. The request came to me for flashers during school lunches, for students' pedestrian safety. Could I look into it for the 6 big high schools? So that was the conversation I had with engineering. When I called ACHD traffic engineering, we weren't discussing an accident that occurred and putting these flashers out in response to that accident, or even putting the flashers on in response to students being able to navigate their vehicles off campus more easily. I asked them to look into it directly in response to pedestrians walking. I used the example of kids walking across Overland to Dutch Bros and students from Rocky crossing at lunch to go off and eat off campus. I also use the example in Boise that it's already occurring. The high school that my kids will go to already has their flashers on, so I already knew it was something that ACHD used in some places. So it was a pedestrian focused request when it went from me to ACHD. The accident was not used in justification or even in the conversation.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lancaster?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess as a follow-up on that. I guess I have two questions about it. So if the motorcycle crash in front of Rocky Mountain High School is not part of this, then why even mention it now?
I believe Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mr. Reinhardt, would you like to answer that?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Lancaster, the motorcycle accident prompted a student to write a letter. That letter went to a number of people. I was asked to initiate a conversation. I went to Miranda Carson's office. I don't know if I talked about the motorcycle accident or not, but the motorcycle accident prompted the students to write the letter to make this suggestion. The exchange between Ms. Carson and myself, I didn't recall the nature of the conversation other than, would you look into this as a possibility?
A can it be done question.
Can it be done question?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know whether to be impressed or I don't know what about, taking student requests. I guess it's kind of cool that, the school district would take action based on a student request. But knowing my own 16-year-old at home, I don't do everything he asks. But anyway, be that as it may, that's supposed to be a little bit humorous, but
It was.
anyway, I guess a follow-up to Ms. Carson is, I guess I'm remembering a few months back when I asked, is this for pedestrians or for drivers? And as I recall, you said both. So it seems like that's been part of the conversation from the beginning. So am I remembering that accurately, Ms. Carson? I guess that's my question.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I believe my conversation was it's for vehicles to slow them down, but if you know me, I'm always focused on the pedestrian. They don't get voices at these meetings like the people in the cars do. So while I do care about people inside their cars, my focus will almost always be more on the pedestrian. So if I said that it was for cars, I meant to slow them down so that the pedestrians could get where they were going safely.
Other commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
just a comment. As I think about school zones and schools, period, I think about all the problems we have with schools. Parents parking, picking up their kids parking in odd spaces, blocking emergency exits and people's mailboxes and garbage cans. And I don't think running lights at lunch is necessary, but it's not a quarter of the problem we face with schools in the city and school zones. And so I probably wouldn't take up that fight either.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I'll take a stab.
Smith?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, given kind of some of the discussion, I'll take a stab. I would move to table this without an intention of taking it back up in the future.
Sorry, the last part, table it?
Table it with no intention of picking it up in the near future, just tabling it indefinitely.
Does it get to be a sine die?
Yeah, more or less, or whatever I move we take no action. I move
Okay. But to table it.
to table it.
Not to kill it, but
Not
to
to-
table it.
I mean, if we want to move to kill it as well, I mean,
I don't want to do anything. I want to find out what you want.
so my intention is to move to continue and not keep this on old business to, I guess, effectively to kill it, if we want to use maybe morbid terminology. But I think this is something that's, from what I've heard in discussion, it's been done. We might not have the jurisdiction. If we do have the jurisdiction, there's conflicting ideas. I think it's something that I don't know that there's much value added beyond the perception of saying anything for us to actually take an action. So I would move that we take no action.
Okay, I've heard about 3 different proposed motions. I need a motion that someone can speak to.
I would move to remove this from the agenda in perpetuity going forward from now until the death of the universe.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right. Have a motion, but no second. Motion dies. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lancaster.
I'd like to address a couple things and then follow up by a motion.
Thank you.
So to address a couple comments made, there's no data to support undoing this. I think that was what the gist of what Commissioner Smith said earlier. That may be true. I think the opposite is also true. There hasn't been data that has led to this decision. Again, I haven't seen the direct correlation of reduced speed limit at lunch will have this effect. I don't see that correlation, right? I see some what ifs and some maybes in there, and we're being extra cautious and those sorts of things said. So without a direct problem to solve, I don't think we're solving a problem. Commissioner Ballard said, what's the city's role in this? So as I recall, we as a body were to advise the city council on transportation related matters within the city of Merdian. And this is a transportation related matter within the city of Merdian. So we can weigh in on this, we can make recommendations. And so I think that's our role in it, Commissioner Ballard. I guess I want to circle back to something that Sergeant Carter mentioned, that there are, tickets being written for this this lunchtime reduced school speed limit. I guess I have some concern over that we're taking, a fundamental principle of speed limits is that you set speed limits so that, well, with the assumption that most users of the transportation facilities are reasonable and prudent and drive, usually drive with their own interests of mobility and, their own tolerance for risk, et cetera. And that most people do that reasonably and prudently. And so you set the speed limit so that there is a small fraction of users that are, so we put a number on a sign that says, if you drive above this number, then you're a violator of a speed limit. And that number is supposed to be small enough so that police can, enforce the laws to that small number. If too many of, the users are violating that speed limit, then, it's unreasonable to expect law enforcement to ever enforce much of that. And you're turning otherwise, law-abiding citizens into violators, right? And I have concern that that's perhaps happening with this lunchtime school zone. So anyway, that's just addressing a few things and one more thought I had, but with that, Mr. Chair, I move the commission to make a written recommendation to the city council to make our recommendation that the lunchtime reduced speed limits at high schools in Merdian be removed.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lewis, that was you, I presume?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Smith?
I would argue that if there is hypothetical or data based on conjecture that this could reduce fatalities, but there's no data supporting the removal of this, and it is the current status quo, I don't believe it's in the favor of the city to spend its time spinning its wheels on something that is, absent any other evidence, a net positive to neutral effect on the citizens.
Other discussion on the motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Leclerc.
Well, it's been an interesting series of arguments. And I supported our action item on the agenda today, at the last meeting. I still think, yes, this Transportation Commission is largely advisory. And when it comes to traffic issues, the city is mostly advisory. And so I think it's appropriate for us to ask the city council to take a position on something that is slowing traffic. And so I think I'm still supportive of this motion. A good case was made today, but everything we do, widening, recommending projects to widen intersections, recommending crosswalks and signals and everything we involve ourselves with, we have to balance safety and mobility, an effective transportation system for our city. This is an advisory statement by us asking that the city council agree with us. Does it have a hard concrete impact? No, I think ACHD and West Ada can get together and do this. But I think it's good for us to say, hey, here's something where we could have better flowing traffic and the risk is not significant. And why not do it? And so I think that's where I'm coming down to support this. And I don't know if the votes are there on the council even, but I think it's good for us to push back a little on all this because we're, getting from here to there is what makes our city and most cities in Idaho pretty great. We have a traffic flow that makes life good for our citizens. And so they can have a reliable expectation of what it will take to get from one place to another. If we have yellow lights coming on their route that slows traffic way down at 11:45 in the morning, I think many of our drivers are probably frustrated by that. So I think this is something, a good discussion to have and support the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be real quick. My opposition to the motion is simply that this conversation should have occurred 6 months ago. You're not going to turn this ship around. The decision's been made. We're wasting our time.
And if I may speak to that comment and tell Mr. Reinhardt, you made a comment in your original presentation about possibly something about not knowing it should have come here. And my position on that is that you shouldn't have known, and it's not up to you to bring it. It comes to us from the third floor and from staff, items that come up to us. So I don't want the school district to feel like we messed up when we didn't take it to TC. Okay, well, regardless of where this goes. Other commissioners' comments on the motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I just want to address briefly, it is difficult for us to make any recommendation after the fact. And I agree with your comments that you just made to Dr. Reinhardt that it's not necessarily his responsibility to know to bring it to us either.
To us, maybe to the
us.
city, but not to
Yeah,
us.
right. I concur. But this is the hand we're dealt, right? We found out about this when this was happening imminently. And so while it's an uphill battle, we can make our recommendation and see where it goes from there. So, laws can be repealed, things happen, but it certainly is an uphill battle for us at this point. But it's important that we make a statement on this.
Other comments by commissioners? We have a motion, we have a second. I'm going to do a roll call vote on this one. I'm going to start with our youngest member, Mr. Bansell. Yay or nay? Was that a yay? Thank you, William. A yay. Mr. Smith?
Nay.
Leclerc?
Yes.
Mr. Bell?
Nay.
Mr. Hobson?
Yay.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yay.
It's 4-2. Chair will not vote in this case.
You
Motion passed.
forgot me.
I always forget you. You're out there in the Netherlands. How would you like to vote?
Aye.
5-2. Sorry. My apologies. Okay. Mr. Reinhardt and company, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. Next item on the agenda. The Woodbridge Neighborhood Area Updates. Who from staff is going to fly this one?
Members of the commission, there's not much for me to say here, but I'm happy to answer questions. Three things. There's a letter included in your packet. The city council decided to send a letter to ACHD asking them to consider putting up some sort of gator bollard in the Woodbridge subdivision. I have not heard back on that yet. Another topic in Woodbridge was crosswalks. There had been a crosswalk request a number of months ago that has not gone away. But ACHD reached out to the neighborhood and specifically the person who requested that and asked if they wanted to wait until the weather warms up when more people are walking about before they do traffic counts for that. So the crosswalk request is still out there. And then the other related effort, not in Woodbridge, but adjacent to it, is the city council direction to staff to request that ACHD modify the master street map to include a collector roadway from the signal on Locust Grove to the signal on Eagle Road through the Magic View and Locust View Height neighborhoods. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. It's an update, but we can mark it as an action in case you guys had something that you wanted to do.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm reading this letter and what are we asking to do? This is a decision that's already been made.
I would say better late than never, but the way this day is going, maybe not.
Well, I come from a school of thought asking for permission or asking for forgiveness. So again, I go, okay. City council signed a letter. They sent it to ACHD. What are we supposed to do with it?
As
Miss-
Mr. Hood said earlier, no action is an action.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I can, just maybe add a little bit more context than Brian did find somewhere, and you've had some of these conversations too in your staff communications over the last few months anyways, and more to come. I think the crosswalk discussion, there'll be more information on that. The first part though, the gates, that was a direct request from some neighbors that were here for a public hearing regarding a proposed development there. So that was a petition, on the spot petition, if you will, of the mayor and city council at that time related to a project that was being proposed in there adjacent to the Woodbridge subdivision at that time. And that was an action that the council took.
Directly to the council, not to this group.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So they came to a public hearing regarding a proposed, again, a project just south of your neighborhood and petitioned the council on the spot to send some version of this letter to ACHD asking them to otherwise gate bollard close off Woodbridge Drive. So others, I've, eaten the crow, hadn't brought it to you. This one, there really wasn't an opportunity. The council latched onto that request at the time, and you see the letter. So I do apologize, but there's nothing really different to vet through the commission. It was, again, yeah.
And that happened since the March Transportation
Yeah, this
Commission
was,
meeting.
this was 2-3 weeks ago anyways. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember the hearing date that happened, but about 3 weeks ago, I'll say.
May I ask a question?
You may, sir.
So if I understand, an item not on the agenda, but a group of citizens can come into the city council meeting and petition on the spot and have a vote called for without any opposition, other than who's at there with no notice.
It was on the agenda as a,
Yeah. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ballard, Commissioners, the project was called Latitude 43, and associated with the testimony of that development that was proposed, there was this request that council send this letter to ACHD. So this wasn't the item on the agenda, but it was related to development within this section mile and the concern of traffic that this proposed project would cause on existing roads, and that existing concern from these existing neighbors. And so that's kind of the way that played out. So no, not like we just talked about before, and we can't add things to the agenda at city council either without it being on a noticed agenda 48 or 72 hours or whatever, or I think there's an emergency clause somewhere in Idaho code, but aside an emergency, you can't just add it at the time. But there was, again, part of that. I believe the mayor even asked the neighbors that were there for a show of hands who would support a letter being sent to ACHD asking for Woodbridge Drive to be closed off. And there's cheers and jeers and yeah, let's do that. So, yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Well, that's an interesting procedural point. I'll have to take a look at that because I was told you can never add anything to an agenda on the fly. So I stand corrected.
Mr. Chair,
yes, ma'am.
can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, ma'am.
So with the road being closed or bollard or gated or whatever the intention is it being vacated to become a private road, or will this be a gated public road?
No, my understanding is it would be gated with fire access ability.
So is it fire access or is it private access?
No, fire. It's a public road.
It would
Correct me
effectively
if I'm
be,
wrong.
it would effectively be a dead end.
2 dead ends.
Unless the fire
it would be a
department needed.
lollipop and loop around Thornwood and then end.
Well, the break between Woodbridge where you enter from the east,
To Magic View.
Magic View, a gate of some sort is contemplated there for EMS access only. So if you're going west or going east, the other direction, you can't pass through that point anymore unless you're a fire truck.
Would pedestrian access still be?
There's still sidewalks there, yes, but the vehicle access would be closed.
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
The only reason I ask is because state code on school buses is very specific that we don't traverse private roads. So when a road, I understand this isn't a request for a road to become private, but we are frequently asked to go into gated communities. So communities will put things up like these gates that maybe only certain people have access to, but they want the school bus to use those. And we don't have any ability to get through gates like that. So I just want to put that out as a point of caution on throwing up gates, is that a lot of people still expect a bus to go through or students to be able to walk through, and that's not always the case. And legally that we don't have to go through those.
Staff can correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is pedestrian access will still be available. It will be gated so that regular traffic cannot go through there. Should it be necessary for either the fire department or a paramedic vehicle to get through, they will have the ability to open it. Or should there be something on the west end of that community that precludes the citizens from being able to evacuate to the west, they would be able to use it to evacuate to the east. It would allow an emergency second egress from the neighborhood, as well as emergency access to the neighborhood, but it's not proposed to be a change from a public to a private right-of-way. Close enough?
That's correct. Yeah. The residents won't be able to access this gate either. It's an emergency only
Or cut.
private road or a public road.
Or cut through traffic.
That's right. Or deliveries or school buses that may want to go through.
Correct.
It would, regular traffic, as you state, Mr. Chair, would be prohibited. Although the gate hasn't been designed yet, we're not to that point, but yes, everything that's been said. would need-
HD has not agreed to this.
Yes, right.
Or spoken to it, correct? Okay. Mr. Lancaster, you look like you're ready to say something.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Seeing that we're not even through old business and it's 5:15, I'll keep it to one question on this. I've been doing this long enough to know that if there's any kind of recurring topic, Woodbridge subdivision is at the top of the list. But my question is this, and this is for Sergeant Carter. So there's a statement in this letter that says that there's a growing number of crashes in or around Woodbridge subdivision. I recognize I'm putting you on the spot a little bit for this, but I guess from a high level, is there any validity to that statement?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Chairman and Sergeant Carter, thank you for that. I guess we need to be careful making such statements. That's truly hyperbole and conjecture right there.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can, just the first part of that sentence, though, I think is, and Woodbridge residents have reported and elevated. So I was at the hearing, they did report that. Whether or not the crashes actually are higher, they're reporting that. And that's what that sentence says.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Leclerc.
happy resident of Woodbridge. But I've been following this, and this letter was discussed at that hearing. And I did get the feeling the mayor wanted to do something like this. But there were several, the meeting I attended was about the Latitude 43 proposal, and it was postponed to April 7th, tomorrow. And so is this still seems premature. So the city has not yet approved Latitude 43, but this sounded like this was part of the deal to approve it. Maybe it's not viewed that way by the mayor, but I thought there was a list of items that needed to happen for the council to approve Latitude 43, and this was one of them. And so my question is that fulfilling that, or is they just getting the ball rolling as soon as they could?
Mr. Chair, I don't know that I can fully answer that. I mean, that's the mayor and council, but yes, I know you were online, Tom, listening to that hearing here 3 weeks ago or whenever that was. Yeah, and I don't think this was a precursor to any action that the council is going to take tomorrow. It is on their docket tomorrow. They haven't taken an action saying, if you do X, Y, and Z, we'll approve you, and if you don't, we'll deny you, type of a thing. Okay. This was, again, sort of ancillary to the topic of the Latitude 43 project that was on the agenda, but the neighbors that were there kept saying, we need existing condition is there's cut through and speeding and crashes and near misses and all this stuff. Please send this letter to ACHD. We're running into a brick wall with ACHD. And again, the council picked up on that and said, okay, we'll send a letter. So they are connected and related and came up at that hearing, but I don't know that because the letter, they'll approve it or deny it. I think this was, again, neighbors saying we're frustrated today, irregardless of if you approve the Latitude 43 project or not.
We have seen Woodbridge residents, letters, etc., in the last 6 months prior to the public hearing you're talking about, more than possibly, at least one, if not more of which asked for closing at that point. So it wasn't from what I'm hearing, and I didn't listen like you did, but it came up at the Latitude 43 discussion. There was a city council meeting item, public hearing, and council acted on it, is the way I understand it occurred.
Well, they postponed their decision. So I'm surprised to see this letter is out before that related decision has been made up or down. But yeah, should we say, is the action we should take, say, good job? Or what are we
The reason,
expected to
the
do?
reason this says action is to give you the ability per state code to take action should you wish. It is not a requirement that you take action. But if we had not put it as an action, y'all were clamoring to do something, we wouldn't be able to allow you to do it. So you have freedom that you didn't know you had, at least on this.
All right. I guess I don't have a motion.
Okay.
It seems informational to me, but I'll let the council see what they want to do next.
I will, Mr. Chair, and I know we're running up on time, but I will maybe add, ACHD is going to collect some counts this spring. The weather's been great, and so I imagine they'll get out there soon. We could follow up and request them before they decide what they're going to do on crosswalks to bring that data back, and you could be part of that. Again, it's a request. Kendall Kemmer can do whatever, his agency says, he can do, but we can request that of him, that once he gets these traffic counts regarding the crosswalk portion and even the gate, have them report out to the commission, even though that's not your request. So it just kind of depends on what you'd like to do, but I'm just throwing that out there as an option. There's no real decision made yet on the crosswalks because they haven't collected the data.
So protocol wise, the TC has the ability to ask ACHD to talk to us before they do a final answer to this letter.
As Mr. McClure laid out, I think you'll probably see different decisions made at different points. The gate, you'll probably hear directly from the commissioners. The crosswalks, it'll probably be a traffic engineer. The project obviously is a city council decision. So I don't know that there'll be a written response to any or all of those things, but there'll be an action that will be reported out. And my point was you could be part of that.
So should we desire, what would be the request of ACHD?
That's up to you all.
Talk to us about this.
Potentially, we would like to be part of that evaluation.
Report to us as this progresses or something.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of surprised that ACHD can just take a public road and put bollards in it and make it a dead end.
They're all over.
Willy-nilly.
They're all over town.
Yeah. It just surprises me. One day it's a road and the next day they just block it off.
Mr. Commissioner Chair, I just wanted to maybe clarify, this was a request to ACHD. ACHD has taken no action on it whatsoever.
No,
So, okay.
I get it.
Commissioners?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm just kind of curious, if they put a bollard up there, I'm just thinking for a minute, who's going to contest it?
I don't know. I'm not, I don't understand.
Well, it's called standing to go to court to sue somebody.
Okay.
Who's been injured if they put the bollard up there? And I think it's a pretty good question, but I kind of thought I heard a comment that somewhere in state code, we can declare emergency and we'll shut this road off.
I didn't hear that. I heard the emergency comment in state code had to do with emergency ability to add an item to an agenda that Caleb made. And that is in state code.
Okay.
But
All right.
ACHD and other public works departments throughout the state do this type of thing. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but I'm saying they do it. And a lot of time they do it as part of a development application where they say, the fire department says, we have got to have a second way in and out of that neighborhood. And the city council, help correct me, Caleb, very well might say, okay, well, we'll make it a fire department emergency only back door.
That's on the front end. We're on the back end.
Understood.
The subdivision's been there
Understood.
35 years. So, okay, it's a pretty good question that my fellow commissioner asked. Who has the authority to shut down a road?
In my opinion, it's the people that own the road. And in this case, it's ACHD.
Okay.
Okay. What do we wish to do with this item so we can move ahead?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion. I think will probably fail, but I'm going to move that we notify the city council and ACHD that we support blocking Mountain View Road at the entrance to Woodbridge.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Motion is to do what?
To support blocking Further-
Magic
further-
View
further
Road at
council's
the
letter.
east entrance of Woodbridge.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
That was a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
I've given, by the way, I've given up on the clock, so you just go
Yeah.
right ahead.
So having been here long enough, and again, this being a recurring topic, I know for a fact that ACHD has offered several traffic calming measures through Woodbridge subdivision, and those have been rejected by the residents. So it seems a bit disingenuous to be supporting something when the offered somethings haven't been taken. So I can't support this motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. On the motion.
Yeah, the reason I seconded this and am supportive of this is, it seems to me that latitude 43, I looked it up, it's been kind of sitting in council for a minute. And it seems that this is a component that, would encourage the council to complete some of that kind of important, or would make the council more comfortable supporting completing some of that important infill development. And I would hate to see a project fail, because of, and I'm not saying that that is the risk, but I'd hate to see the risk of that increase, because of something that I think is potentially a pretty appropriate traffic calming measure to reduce cut through traffic. I'd hate to see all this kind of go by the wayside because the neighbors have been insufficiently compliant with ACHD in the past, or something like that. And so I think this is an appropriate ask by the council at an appropriate time.
Anyone else comment on the motion? Restate your motion, please.
Restate,
It's a long one, I know.
it's not that bad. It's
Just to make sure we remember.
commission, that the Merdian Transportation Commission all right, I move that we, as the commission, notify the city council and ACHD that we are in support of blocking Magic View Drive at the east entrance of Woodbridge.
I see the second nodding yes.
That's as I understand it.
That is your motion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Hey,
I think the nays have it, but I'd better get a head count. Mr. Mansell? Nay? Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Claire?
Yes.
Ballard?
hey,
I'm sorry. Nay. Nay, thank you.
Nay.
A nay.
Nay.
And Mr. Lewis,
Thank you for asking, Mr. Chairman.
you're more than welcome. Motion fails.
Discuss.
Okay,
All right.
we're still not out of this agenda item. How do we get out of it? And I've got 5:29, so at 5:30, I'm gonna stop everything to see if we continue or go home. Since y'all put that in the new bylaws.
Mr. Chairman, let's go on to the next agenda item. That's my suggestion, not a motion.
Consensus?
That sounds good to me.
Mr. Lewis, can I get a head nod?
Yes, please move on.
Okay. Next item under new business is the Transportation Commission year-end report. There's the letter to the council is in your packet. Has anyone had a chance to read it and or care to comment on it? It will be delivered tomorrow at 4, so please do not rewrite it at this point, but anything you'd like to say about it, I'd be happy to hear, except for the fact we have run out of time.
Mr. Chairman, I
think
think the letter's great.
ditto.
Seconded.
We're out of time.
Perfect. No objection.
I'm sorry. You got to speak up.
Tell us if there's, you can just say, if there's no objection, the commission supports this report.
Okay, now the question is whether or not we stay here for a little while longer to work on the rest of the agenda, or are we out of here?
Oh,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would move that we extend by 5 minutes to allow for any pressing updates anyone wants to have and to allow us to close up any important topics.
5 minutes, people? I see
I'll second that.
positive head nods. We will stay till 5:35 or, so thank you on the letter. We will get that delivered tomorrow. Caleb, would you like to explain number 6, please?
I don't know if it falls in that category that you just extended, but really quickly, the Downtown Urban Renewal Agency hired a consultant. One of the elements they're looking at is parking in the downtown area. Looks like the council will be taking volunteers to serve on an ad hoc committee that will be dealing with parking downtown overtime. So meters, potentially parking garages, enforcement, it'll be ASHD, police department, city members, that type of a thing. So if you're interested in that, I know we're short on time, but let me know. Up to 3 members. Likely our council president will be leading that effort. You may or may not be picked or assigned, but if you're interested, let me know. And I will share that information with Councilman Overton, President.
Okay, would you please put out an email to the members and give them a time, date certain by which to reply yea or nay?
Sure.
No, don't have to reply nay, but the yays respond to that email, please.
I will just say I'll send the email. I don't quite know the makeup, the scope, when the meetings are. This is in its infancy stages. So just the email I send will have pretty limited information because it really isn't formatted yet. So I don't have a.
There's a parking committee for downtown Meridian being formed. Transportation has
Interest
been
in that.
asked to put forward 3 names to participate.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
It is, and this is not a subcommittee of the Transportation Commission.
Right.
Make that clear. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm interested. Put me on the list.
Respond to the email. Okay. I'm going to pass on ex officio updates unless somebody says, I gotta tell you this. Okay, and I'm going to pass on staff communications because there's nothing in there that we can discuss that can be done in 2 minutes.
You're not gonna take up the engine braking again?
I had a conversation with staff before this meeting about whether or not I dared ask Mr. Ballard to explain the difference between compression brakes and Jake brakes, and I'm not asking because I knew it could take a little while to do it, and I'm looking forward to it. But with that being said, I'm going to declare us out of here. We're adjourned.
All right. I'm just gonna say
come
that
back.
you talk to the police officer
He'll come
there,
back.
put a motor out there.
He's left already.
Yeah, well, that's a conversation for that one.
He left already.
Well, I'm gonna bring,
Did
Okay.
one of those signs over my.
Greg,